Did the Undisputed Era's Marathon Man reach his limit?
And the Dusty Classic was fucking fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, this is NXT. Welcome everybody to What's NXT for January 22nd, 2020. I'm your host, the Wizard of Osborne. This is what happens when you change shit up.
Support! No DQ.
Welcome everybody to What's NXT for January 22nd, 2020. I'm the Rated R reviewer Stefan Osborne, joined as always by the General Jerry Slaughter.
Good morning, wrestling fans.
And another phenomenal fucking show.
They've been putting on nothing but great shows since they went 2 hours live. I was kind of skeptical when it first came out because I'm like, how are these guys going to react to being on live television, every Wednesday night? But they have just leaps and bounds. Just been awesome.
How is Triple H and the writers in the back going to respond to going live on Wednesday and head-to-head with AEW?
Yeah.
I tell you how they're going to respond. I feel like they're not trying to go head-to-head with AEW.
They're just
I feel like they're trying to go head-to-head with Raw and SmackDown. Ever since Survivor Series.
Yeah, they are kicking their ass.
Yeah, like they don't give a fuck about AEW. It is what it is. They're trying to be another brand in WWE on the same par as SmackDown, on the same par as Raw. And I think they're succeeding. I think, if anything, they are the top brand right now as far as watchability goes. Mm-hmm. Even SmackDown, that's only 2 hours, that has yet to succumb to the 3-hour show, still isn't as good as NXT.
No.
Fucking awesome. This week was no exception. We start the show with the semifinals of the Dusty Rhodes
Classic.
Classic.
Started off with a bang.
Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, of course, the
Team
NXT Tag Team Champions. Coming out with Adam Cole and Roderick Strong versus Zach Gibson and James Drake, the grizzled young veterans. This match, I don't have but two notes, okay? And
because
you know me.
We're glued to this.
Yeah, this match was fucking awesome.
Yes.
It wasn't a classic or anything. I feel like our next Dusty Rhodes Classic match in this show is actually better. I would call it a classic. Mm-hmm. But this one was just perfect for what it needed to be.
Yeah.
Before I drop my two notes here, what were your thoughts on the opening match?
I thought we were going to get a great match regardless. I just didn't know how great. Because the Grizzled Young Veterans had something to prove, because everybody kind of saw them coming into this match as underdogs compared to the Undisputed Era, who's decorated in gold and everything right now. And Gibson and Drake, they were the inaugural NXT UK Tag Champs. But even then, they don't have those belts anymore. So they had something to prove with this. They want to win the Classic. And they went about it the right way in this one. And the match was just brutality all the way through. And I loved every minute of it.
Well, Zach Gibson and James Drake haven't had a lot going on in NXT UK lately.
No.
Take this from guys that review the show every week. They were in the Fatal 4-Way match, the ladder match for the NXT UK Tag Team Championships.
Another great showing.
But they really felt like kind of outside of...
They were the afterthoughts of it.
Yeah, they felt like they were outside of the actual... I felt like the actual feud was between Gallus and Imperium. Mm-hmm. In this case, this match to me set the tone for both matches in the night. Because we were only going to get two options. You would think with 4 teams still going in this, we could have 4 options as to the final 2 teams. No, it was either going to be Imperium versus Undisputed Era, or it was going to be the Grizzled Young Veterans versus the Brozerweights.
The Brozerweights.
It's the only way I can say it. I can't the Brozerweights. It just sounds wrong. And so when Zach Gibson and James Drake, when they won, we knew how the next match was going to turn out. But I feel like it was important for that match to be the classic of the two of them, because you kind of knew that Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle were going to win. So maybe that's a little bit of spoiler for later.
Which kind of it's not really a diss at Fabian Eichner or Marcel Bartel, but we knew what we were getting into at this point.
Well, considering we've been getting this faction warfare and we are going to get the 8-man tag team match, Imperium versus Undisputed Era, again, it was only going to go two ways. Either they were going to meet in the Dusty Rhodes Classic final, or neither team was going to be in it.
Nope.
I've got Imperium coming out. Well, not even coming out. Their music hit. This is toward the end of the match. They are not on the stage. Instead, they shine the spotlight on that perch, that NXT perch that they built when they went live. And they're up there just posing, watching the match, which is causing Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, who have previously been semi-involved in this match.
They turned to dogs chasing the mailman.
Yeah.
Just kind of
They're like challenging these guys to come down from the perch. They're not going up there, and obviously nobody's moving, but of course their attention's up there just long enough for the grizzled young veterans to take advantage and hit the ticket to mayhem on Kyle O'Reilly and get the pinfall. And so they are moving on. Honestly, I know that Red Dragon is the more experienced team. They are the more decorated team. They are probably the better team. But right now, I cannot think of another team that I would rather have win the Dusty Rhodes Classic than the Grizzled Young Veterans. However, we'll see if that's going to happen. We're going to give our predictions, but after the next Classic match.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we get a video package for Rhea Ripley versus Toni Storm. This is happening at Worlds Collide. There's not much build-up here, but you would think there actually was based on this video package. Their feud goes back.
They've got plenty of history.
Yeah, their feud goes back a full year into NXT UK. But as far back as it goes, their history is few and far between their actual matches. You know, they had their build-up to the title match and the rematch, but after that, it was like nothing.
Yeah.
You know, Rhea disappeared for a while, came back just in enough time to come over to NXT. Toni Storm had the feud with Kaylee Ray and then disappeared forever. But this video package makes you feel like this shit's been going on and on and on and on. It's what I love about NXT. They are so brilliant at these video packages.
They just bring stuff back like it's brand new.
And they take things that are brand new and they make you feel like they've been around a while. Like Shotzi Blackheart. We get a video promo for her. Looks great. She eliminated Shayna Baszler last week in the Women's Battle Royal. She is facing Shayna Baszler tonight. She says, "You cannot out crazy Shotzi." And I believe that because she's crazy enough to think she's got a shot against Shayna Baszler tonight. But yeah, again, another great video package by NXT. Who'd have thunk it?
Well, they started off the show with a great video package. That's what they're doing now. Instead of having that, crappy main title thing, they just had the Slipknot song playing in the background as they show everything that happened that last week.
Maybe there were just so many complaints about the title video that they were like, well, what do you want us to do? And the guys that do the video promos and packages are like, well, people have been raving about our shit. Why don't we just do a different one every week? We don't have enough to do anyway.
Yeah.
We love this job. I feel like the guys that do the video packages for NXT love their fucking jobs. They love their jobs, and they do so well. And if anybody knows somebody that does that, please tell them that there are a couple of guys that give them a shout-out because they don't get enough praise.
High five.
Toni Storm versus Io Shirai. We were told this match was happening tonight, so it's not anything new. But anything Io Shirai is worth...
we love Io Shirai.
Yeah, looking forward to. I was looking forward to it. I was hoping for an actual ending. I figured Toni Storm would go over because she needs momentum going into Worlds Collide. She's got a championship match, no doubt. But at the expense of Io Shirai?
So that's why I was kind of glad that the match kind of ended in a no contest with Bianca showing up. But at the same time, it kind of takes off heat off the off Toni Storm at this point, like you said, because she's got her match like with Rhea Ripley like a week prior to Bianca Belair versus Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. So.
Yeah, my first note here is Io Shirai escaping a waist lock. She jumps through the ropes and pulls Toni Storm neck first across the middle rope. I think that's how it's supposed to go. Honestly, I think it was a little bit botched. She didn't quite go into the ropes like you would think, but it worked. Io Shirai then turns around outside and runs into a kick to the side of Toni Storm's head.
Great kick. It was already a great kick, but the fact that it hit Toni Storm made it even better.
Back inside the ring, Io goes for that Tiger Faye kick, that 619, and Toni Storm catches it, leaves her in the ropes, and then running drop kicks her out to the outside. Somewhere in this match, Bianca Belair shows up, and I think Toni Storm was going for a suicida, and she ends up getting clocked by Bianca Belair. So I think Io Shirai might have won this match via DQ, but I don't know.
Well, if that's the case, Toni Storm will have won the match.
Well, Io Shirai ends up doing a moonsault to the outside and taking out both Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. So obviously Bianca Belair's not with her.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it is a no contest. Neither wins, both wins. Who knows? But this is what happens. Disqualification. Belair comes in, hits a double chicken wing facebuster on Toni Storm. So when Rhea Ripley comes out, and Io Shirai does a moonsault. Oh, I'm sorry. She does it onto Ripley and Belair.
Yeah, you said that.
Oh, okay.
And then Toni Storm came out with the suicida and knocked out Io Shirai.
Yep. And Storm gets back in the ring where Rhea had dropped the belt when she came out to beat up on Belair. And she holds the belt for a while looking at it, and then looking at Rhea Ripley outside.
The crowd is greatly booing this.
Yeah, they don't like the fact that Toni Storm's holding the belt. They love Rhea Ripley.
Don't.
I think NXT UK did a pretty good job of building Ripley up as a heel. I think that was a decent audience to give her a heel run in front of. But the NXT audience knows who she is.
They appreciate her for being the badass that she is.
They love her probably just a hint less than I do. After this, Kathy Kelly's backstage interviewing the Undisputed Era. They just lost the semifinals in the Dusty Classic. However, they are still the tag team champs. They want to remind you of that. And Adam Cole wants to remind the other three that their focus now is on Roderick Strong defending the North American Championship tonight, and the Golden Prophecy must remain.
That's how big of a threat Keith Lee is to that group, is the fact that Adam's saying all four of them need to focus on Roderick Strong's match.
Yeah, forget the titles, or our titles.
Forget Imperium, forget everything else that's going on, focus on Keith Lee.
Fuck the Dusty Rhodes Classic, we need to concentrate on Roderick Strong keeping the title.
Yep.
We get a video promo for Ilya Dragunov. This was really good. This is the only time I believe anybody's successfully gotten across the character that Ilya Dragunov and NXT UK are trying to portray him as. Granted, it's because of video editing, but he looks badass.
He's ultra intense. He's wearing a nice suit.
He's super red. Like the rest of him matches those red eye inserts that he's got. And he says that, he's facing Finn Balor at Worlds Collides. He says he is invincible and he will not miss. Because Finn Balor last week told him, when you take your shot, you better not miss.
Yep. And that becomes a running theme.
So, speaking of Finn Balor, he comes out, and I'm curious, it's a week before Worlds Collide, which is Royal Rumble weekend. Is Finn Balor wrestling here? Sure enough. But who? Whom? Commercial break later, we find out it's Joaquin Wilde, who looks fucking ridiculous, folks.
He looks like a mixture of the gobbledygooker and a car ornament.
It's like Spy versus Spy / cyberpunk /
Burning Man.
Have you ever seen like a cartoon version of a bird that has plucked half its feathers out? It's that version of the Macho Man. He's wearing these sleeves that have the Macho Man threads, or the
pretty much clothes that guarantee that you won't get laid or beat Finn Balor.
or get any offense in whatsoever. This was a squash match. Finn Balor beat the shit out of him from the beginning of the match to the end of the match.
Stomped the crap out of him.
He hit, at the end, the shotgun drop kick into the coup de grace, into the 1916 DDT that looked more like a brain buster. He rolled him on his fucking neck, folks.
Yes.
Joaquin Wilde had no offense. Zero. Goose egg. Nada. You would think at least some. No.
There's another drop kick that Finn Balor nailed in that match. It was just crisp.
Yeah, the commentators were talking about Joaquin Wilde, needing to get back, his momentum.
Winning ways.
Yeah, but he hasn't had a win since he got here, and this is the worst one yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever. Finn Balor gets some momentum heading towards Ilya Dragunov, and honestly, I don't see Ilya Dragunov winning against Finn Balor right now.
We met Finn Balor in Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of which, our plans are to go see NXT live in March, end of March. I think it's like the 27th. It's a Friday. And we'll let you guys know how that goes. We might do a review live afterwards. Who knows?
Well, we'll probably take a little bit of footage while we're there, too, anyway.
Yeah. So look forward to that, folks.
Mm-hmm.
And if you'd like to help us on our trip to, where is it going to be? Nashville. To go see NXT, you can find us on Patreon at Stefan R. Osborne.
Gas ain't cheap. Actually, it's cheaper than usually.
You can help us get to Nashville that way. Meanwhile, we get an interview backstage with Shayna Baszler about Shotzi. I love this. They are closing all of these sandwiches. Yeah. They had Finn Balor talk, they had Dragunov talk, and then we get Finn Balor. We had Rhea Ripley talk, but we also got Toni Storm eventually, and Shotzi Blackheart here, and we get the close of the sandwich with Shayna Baszler, and this is setting up for a match that's almost upon us.
Yep, and she says she's not going anywhere, which made us very, very happy.
Yeah, and she says Shotzi might have eliminated her last week and thought that she made her career, but really what she did was end her career, and she's going to do that tonight.
And she says her eyes are still on Rhea Ripley. Pretty much like Rhea Ripley may be the nightmare, but she's the reality.
Well, Shayna was the first ever NXT Women's 2-time champion, and she plans on becoming the first 3-time champion.
And it's not far-fetched.
It really isn't, but then again, it's Rhea Ripley, folks. Shayna Baszler versus Shotzi Blackheart is in the wake, but first we get a video package from DIY. Doesn't really hype DIY versus the Mustache Mountain at all. They mention that after the video package ends, but this is just a video package for DIY getting back together.
Quick reunion, yeah.
Which makes me wonder if this isn't going to be something a little more long-term.
It's possible, but at the same time, Gargano's got his match against Balor in Portland. So.
Yeah, so maybe he loses that, and Ciampa loses the title match with Cole.
And then they just go on the hunt for the
tag belts.
That's where Undisputed Era drops the tag belts.
Finally. So as mentioned, Shayna Baszler versus Shotzi Blackheart is okay. Shotzi gets some good shots in. I've actually got notes.
They started hitting shots.
She hits a move I've never seen before, a Sling Blade Bulldog. Now again, she hits the Bulldog much the way Chris Jericho does. Instead of using the arm, using the hand to grab the back of the head. But this was really cool. She hits an inverted cannonball while Baszler's draped on the ropes. And a sliced bread number 2 onto the apron. The hardest part of the ring, don't you know?
Yes.
Baszler ends up countering a top rope senton. She just scoots out of the way and grabs up the Kirifuda clutch. And
she puts up a hell of a fight getting out of it, but then she gets rolled back into the middle of the ring.
And then the grapevine with the legs, and eventually she just had to tap. And Shayna holds on long enough for her to nap, too.
Yep. It's either tap, snap, or nap.
Yeah, the ref had to kind of pull Shayna off, but I think as soon as Shayna knew that her eyes were closed, she's like, all right, I'm done here.
Yep. The second she started snoring, that got boring.
So, women's division is heating up. Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai got this little thing going on, and we get a video promo basically going from a little bit of history with their friendship, how great a buds they were.
Pretty much when they were a tag team in NXT UK.
And then they were both going to have their first NXT takeover at War Games, in War Games. And
it did something went awry.
Yeah, after showing footage of Tegan Nox smooching Dakota Kai in the cage, Dakota Kai gets released from the cage and then immediately turns around and kicks her fucking head off.
Yes.
And beats the shit out of her and slams that cage door in her leg.
That's still probably the highlight of my night for War Games. That was just an awesome, awesome moment. That's what happens when you're a female scored in NXT. Pretty much like she got overlooked for the team, and Tegan Knox didn't really stick up for her or anything, so she had it coming.
Well, Tegan says that she is going to hurt Shayna, or not Shayna, she's going to hurt Dakota Kai in ways that she could never dream of hurting Tegan.
And Kai says she like Tegan Knox is due for another injury.
But I mean, this is hot because Tegan Knox says she's going to beat her up and she is going to like enjoy every second of it. And I'm like, went from friendship to this. I dig it. I dig it.
And we get it next week.
I like the promo version of Tegan Knox better than I do the ring version of her, but hopefully she'll warm up to me over the next coming weeks. I don't know when we're going to get this match, though.
We're getting it next week.
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that announcement. Thank God I asked.
It was the graphic right afterwards.
So, speaking of video packages that close the sandwiches, Mustache Mountain, again, it doesn't really hype the match between them and DIY in the video promo. It just hypes up Mustache Mountain in case you forgot who they were or you didn't know to begin with.
It just shows Trent Seven getting progressively heavier.
But then after that, they let you know, yet this is happening at Worlds Collide. We're going to see Mustache Mountain versus DIY. And honestly, that really ought to be a fucking awesome match.
It's going to be an excellent match.
Fuck Trent Seven, whatever. Between Tyler Bate on one side and Gargano and Ciampa on the other, this ought to be a hell of a fucking match.
Oh, yeah.
Interview backstage with Angel Garza. He has got his fairly newly won Cruiserweight Championship over his shoulder. I guess you could say newly won because he hasn't defended it yet.
No.
He is going to defend it in a Fatal 4-Way at Worlds Collide. And he says it doesn't matter who it is from NXT UK. And doesn't matter that
Isaiah Swerve Scott
says it's his house because he has got the title, which means it's his house.
It's his casa.
And the Latino is in the house. Yep. He says that in Spanish. I just translated for you in case you don't know Spanish. I know enough to know what he said.
I know Taco Bell menu and the word casa.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
I know queso and casa. That's all I really need to know. Cheese house.
So let's finish up the semifinals of the Dusty Rhodes Classic. We've got Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle collectively. The Brozerweights against Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel of Imperium. The rest of Imperium, Walter and Alexander Wolf, accompany them to the ring, much the same as Cole and Strong did with the Undisputed Era.
I think that was more in case of retaliation for like them just popping in on the other match.
They don't really get involved in this match.
They don't.
And they really should have. Because, like I said, there was only 2 outcomes to this entire semifinals round. And we know Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle are going to win because Undisputed Era lost in their round.
Yeah.
Or in their match. I've got a lot of notes for this match. This was a fun match. I didn't think I was going to make note of some of the moves that we see all the time. But there were a few instances where it's like, that was a little different. Before I break that down, your thoughts?
Matt Riddle's hair looked ridiculous.
First note of the match, Matt Riddle comes out, and he has got pigtails braided down the side of his fucking head. And I'm like, dude, this isn't
But after that, like, all the joking, like, ended. Because from there, it was just strikes, and you got to see all of Imperium's greatest hits. You got to see more new offense out of Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne. I especially I just like the mannerisms of these two together too, like the shrug and the bro thing, and doing the kicks to I think it was like Bartel's head at that point too.
Well, yeah, and we saw new moves out of Bartel and Eichner. My first note, brand new move as a tag team. Bartel this kind of steals a little bit from the what do they call them? The Brit Am Bruisers.
Yeah.
Who's that? Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch.
Very good.
But Bartel holds, I believe it's Eichner.
Yep.
Or not Eichner. Dunne. He holds Dunne with a wheelbarrow while Eichner comes off, I believe, the middle rope with a DDT.
Yep. But then rolls him up at the same time where he lands. So that was pretty impressive.
Near fall.
It could have gone extremely bad, but it looked fantastic.
Yeah, the Brit Am Bruiser's finishing move is a DDT, but instead of a wheelbarrow, it's off of the shoulders. And they don't jump off the middle rope. I feel like they should have consulted Eichner and Bartel, and maybe they would have helped them develop their finishing
I
move.
was about to say that we've already established that move is crap anyway, because it's also used on the top rope.
Yeah,
Like
it doesn't have to. If it doesn't have to be a tag team move, then it's not a tag team move.
No.
If all you're there for is leverage that the ropes could be used for, then fuck you. And yeah, we've made that statement before. We do not change our opinion.
Nope. At least with the 3D, you got a flapjack and a diamond cutter going.
So that lawn dart off the top rope into a suplex that Imperium does, that's one of those moves I probably wouldn't have mentioned. I end up mentioning it twice. First of all, Dunn counters that. Like, he rolls up, is it Eichner? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh no, he counters, I guess they were going for the European bomb. My bad.
Yeah.
So he rolls up Eichner, gets him out of the way, and then Bartel goes to do the European uppercut. He grabs him midair around from the back and hits him with a German suplex. I think that was Riddle did that.
Yeah, Riddle.
That was amazing.
That was all Riddle.
And then, let's see, Dunn counters the lawn. Oh, he does counter the lawn dart suplex. He counters it with a Kimura lock.
Yep.
And then Riddle locks on an ankle lock, so we have a stereo
submissions.
We see a double spear on Eichner by both Riddle and Dunn. And then I think Dunn hits a spear onto Bartel while Riddle hits a jackhammer for a near fall. Bartel pushes Riddle off of the top rope into the lawn dart suplex.
Yes.
So there's the other mention.
But Riddle just more or less pops right up from it.
And here's where Riddle counters the European bomb.
Yeah.
With a roll and then a German suplex to Bartel, mid-jump. And then the end of the match, we see a bro to sleep with the Enziguri for a pinfall. Imperium doesn't get involved.
No.
That I don't understand why Walter and Alexander Wolf would just watch that happen. Like, they're heels too.
But they also have respect for the ring.
Ah, that's true. It's a rough one.
Yeah, it's a tough call, but at the same time, they've got bigger fish to fry at this point as well with their feud with the Undisputed Era.
So Imperium leave, and Dunn and Riddle take a while to leave. They get up to the apron, and they start checking out the trophy, which is a huge fucking trophy. And then the Grizzled Young Veterans come out, and Zach Gibson's on the mic.
And James Drake has one too.
Yeah, oddly enough, James Drake has a mic. Gibson starts cutting a promo on him, telling him that they're the broserweights, the joint manipulators, the whatever, and it doesn't matter. They are going to run through Dunn because every time they have tried to get ahead, Dunn's always been in their way, but they are going to win the Dusty Rhodes Classic. And then Matt Riddle snatches the microphone.
James Drake puts the microphone up to his mouth, and Matt Riddle just snatches it right out.
And he says, to be honest, I don't know what you just said past the point you called us
joint manipulators.
Manipulators of the joint. He said, I started drifting off right there.
I started daydreaming.
And then the crowd starts chanting, Riddle's gonna smoke you. Riddle's gonna smoke you. This was brilliant.
Yes.
I love a crowd.
I love Full Sail.
Who can be that instantly hilarious.
Pete Dunne actually says, like, why you had your head up to the clouds up there?
Yeah.
But they're saying...
Yeah, he said the Grizzled Young Veterans were just busy reminding them that every time they face Pete Dunne, they lost. And it's not going to be any different next week. So we didn't know until just now when we were going to get the finals of the match. Was it going to be at Worlds Collide? Was it going to be on NXT? Was it going to be at the TakeOver that's only 2 weeks away? And turns out they're going to continue the tradition of finalizing the tournament on NXT television.
What hell of a go home show for TakeOver?
I don't know if it's the go home show. Is it? Is TakeOver?
No. We have one more week before TakeOver.
Okay, so we'll have that as probably the main event. Hopefully, the main event for the show before the go home show, because the go home show should be hot anyway.
You're thinking Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne are going to win. Me, I think it's going to be the Grizzled Young Veterans.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Not spoiler alert. You just spoiled my... Yeah, that was my pick. For some reason, I don't see the Grizzled Young Veterans of NXT UK winning the NXT's Dusty Rhodes Classic. And it's been sort of this thing. Last year, Aleister Black and Ricochet. That team that gets thrown together.
And the first one was Samoa Joe and Finn Balor.
That odd couple team, man. I just see Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle for some reason getting it. Now you think, to
I-
spoil he thinks they're going to lose, and this is going to cause Pete Dunne to turn on Matt Riddle, and we're going to see them one-on-one at TakeOver.
Yes.
So we'll see.
Dunn's had like enough bad luck in this past year that it's highly plausible. Lost the UK belt. Lost his opportunity at Adam Cole's NXT title. Lost his chance at the North American belt in Toronto, which we went and saw.
And I wouldn't mind to see a little bit of change, even in the form of a heel turn with Pete Dunne, because he doesn't have far to go. He already doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, and what better way to turn full on heel than against pretty much one of the golden boys of the NXT right now.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have to change his in-ring style. He really doesn't have to change his promo. He just has to change who he fights.
Yep.
Honestly.
That's it.
On to the main event, Keith Lee versus Roderick Strong, who does come out with the rest of Undisputed Era, Riley, Fish, and Cole accompanying him to ringside. This is for the North American Championship, and holy crap, awesome main event.
Yes.
Need I say more? Jerry, your thoughts?
Awesome main event. Basically, we already knew we were going to be an awesome main event because we had Roderick Strong, the marathon man of the Undisputed Era. He's just unstoppable half the time because he's in peak condition. He's been wrestling for almost 20 years now against some of the best people in the world.
He won the triple threat match at Survivor Series with Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ fucking Styles.
Yes. And those two had a long storied history as well, with 5-star matches, and he beat them.
He came in as the third wheel, the proverbial odd man out, and beat those two mid-card championships, essentially making the North American Championship the #1 mid-card championship in WWE, essentially. And Keith Lee, who has been on a fucking roll.
Yes.
And
since fall of last year. Because he had his feud with Dijakovic, but then Dijakovic got injured, and so they had to put Keith Lee someplace else. And boy, did they find a good spot for him.
Well, that Dijakovic feud was just the powder before the keg.
Yes.
They strapped the rocket to him, I think, at least in NXT, and it is not going to be long, I don't think, before we see him on Raw or SmackDown. He wins the North American Championship. Not to tip it off before I go through the match. I do have some notes. Mostly, I just wanted to sit back and watch. I might have 4 notes.
Yeah.
But any other thoughts before I drop them?
With this whole match, we knew it was going to be a lot of physicality. We knew there was going to be shenanigans from Undisputed Era. But we just didn't realize how many shenanigans from Undisputed Era. It almost tarnished the match a couple times because we're like, okay, this is getting old. When is the referee going to
throw these bitches out?
Yeah, seriously. He keeps on seeing that they're interfering, but they're not doing anything. But at the same time, it's one of these things where the ref could be like, you know what? I'm not even going to play this game. Get out.
Yeah, let's see. The story of the match is Strong working over Keith Lee. A couple of times Lee goes outside. I think it's the first or second when he gets distracted, of course, by the other 3 members of the Undisputed Era, and Roderick Strong takes him out at the leg. This was the leg that they attacked last week with the chair. Well, they attacked the back of the knee.
Yeah.
But now they're saying the ankle, and they said it was taped up. I didn't see any tape. But anyway, he stuffs the ankle in between the ring and the ring steps and attacks. And he just starts working the ankle over for the rest of the match. This is why the match doesn't end in, say, 3.5 minutes with a jackhammer. At one point, he Olympic slams him off the top rope, but he only gets a near fall. And of course, this is Keith Lee we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And even with the ankle, my next note is where Lee pounces Roderick Strong. Throws him over the top rope. It was almost a botched spot.
Yeah, because he got tangled up in those ropes.
Yeah, and he comes down, lands one leg on Kyle O'Reilly. Bobby Fish kind of goes down with him. And Adam Cole, who I think was supposed to go down too, just looks on like, oh my God, what happened?
Yep.
Anyway.
He looked kind of out of place.
It was still a cool spot.
Mm-hmm.
We see Undisputed Era get up on the apron, and Lee knocks them all down, hits a knee strike, but catches a knee strike and a sick kick from Roderick Strong, but only gets a near fall. Strong gets back up, tries to do some offense, comes off the ropes. Immediately, Keith Lee throws him up into the jackhammer, and the crowd is nuts because they see all 3 other members of the Undisputed Era are down on the outside, and we're about to see a jackhammer. We got a tease for the jackhammer earlier, but it didn't happen. This time it happened.
The Big Bang Catastrophe.
The BBC, the big black cock for the 1, 2, 3. Keith Lee's your new North American Championship. The Golden Prophecy is over.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they still have the tag belts. They still have the NXT title, but they are no longer carrying all the gold.
1 down, 2 to go.
1 down, 2 to go. And what a match, man. What a match.
Oh, my God.
Here on What's NXT, we like to rate the main event using the good old-fashioned General's 5-star rating system. Out of 5 stars, Jerry, where do you rate this main event?
I'm going to say 4.5, and I'm going to give it an extra quarter off the back of a great show, so 4 3/4.
Wow.
This match was everything I was hoping. We finally get the fairy tale ending with Keith Lee actually getting the belt, and he didn't need any assistance to do it. He took out the rest of the Undisputed Era in the process. So that was just an amazing match altogether. It had your brilliant spot in there too, where Roderick Strong, like Keith Lee, actually sits up with Roderick Strong in his arms, almost like a baby. He looked like a baby in his arms.
Well, I'm going to initially agree with you, 4.5. I'm taking off a 0.5 star for the near botch.
Yeah.
If he was going to get tangled up in the ropes, don't do the spot. I don't mind the fact that it kind of ended the way it did, where 1 guy got kicked and 2 guys went down or whatever. Shit like that happens. I care about the fact that potentially was a injury-making spot for Roderick Strong.
Yeah.
So for that move alone, I'm taking off a 1/4 star. I'm going to add it back, though, off the back of a great show. And I'm going to add a 1/4 star off the back of something we did not talk about, the aftermatch.
I figure we get the aftermatch after the match.
So Imperium comes out. They come to ringside, opposite of the Tron.
Yeah.
They get in the ring. Brawl ensues. Now, the fun part about this brawl, before security comes out and tries to break everybody up, and we go to the end of the show, is Walter and Adam Cole end up being the only 2 left in the ring. Adam Cole reverses a Walter move, goes to super kick him. Walter grabs the kick, throws it down, and chops Adam Cole so hard he flips him inside out. And the crowd goes nuts.
Oh my God.
We went nuts. It is morning time, and my neighbors are probably mad, but we went nuts.
Had to rewind it. It was like watching Jack Stars all over again.
I was scrambling for the remote to back it up before it ended, and I had to fast forward through the whole fucking show.
Oh my God.
Wow. That chop was amazing, and it is definitely worth an extra 1/4 star. I'm going to agree with you overall. 4 3/4 for the main event. Just shy of perfect, I would say.
Congratulations, Keith Lee.
So, wow, what a show. That brings us to the end of this episode of What's NXT. Thank you for joining us. Please join us tomorrow for the NXT party, where we will be reviewing, I always trip over that phrase, we will be reviewing NXT UK episode 79.
Yes.
And we should have Owen, the Finchinator.
The Talkinator. Yep. Owen, the Birdman of Boston.
There we go. We might have somebody else. I don't know. I'd still like to try and get James up here if we can. James and Owen is a great combination. So if you're listening out there, James, hit us up tomorrow morning if you're awake. Other than that, if you would like to be on a future episode of NXT UK's NXT party that we host, you can find me on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's Stefan. Or if you just want to look me up, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, Osborne. As always, the R stands for restricted. You can also find the gentleman on Twitter.
At Gerald_JSJ. My Facebook group Armbar, all capital, ARMBAR.
Exclamation point.
Also, we have an Aftermatch Wrestling Now page in a group on Facebook that's public. You can join on that. And Colin Andrew runs our Instagram page.
At Aftermatch_wrestling. Find me on Instagram at Osborne.Stefan. Find the General on Instagram now as well.
Under the_gentleman_slaughter.
And you can find us again on Patreon at Stefan R. Osborne if you'd like to help with the show or help us get down to Nashville to go see NXT live.
Mm-hmm.
that would be cool. But if you just have some time, you can help us with the show for free. Like, if you like the show, click the like button.
You're watching us right now.
If you like all of our shows, click the subscribe button over there. Subscribe to our channel. And if you'd like to help us grow and get more subscribers, click that share button and share us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'll give you a moment. Or a couple moments.
Yeah, we ain't got no place to
Take a
go.
smoke.
You know, I gotta go to sleep eventually. But
Take a drink.
It's whatever.
Seriously, share us.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, if you like wrestling and you have friends that like wrestling, maybe you've got friends that would like to watch us bullshit about wrestling. So thank you again for joining us for the gentleman, the General Jerry Slaughter. I'm the Wizard of No DQ, Wiz Fresh, the Rated R reviewer Stefan Osborne, the actual man with too many names. We will see you in NXT time.